On today's Into Your Head podcast, fertiliser versus sugar, dealing with black holes, the value of building your house in a hole, identifying natural gas in a bar, and more. There's also a new vehicle for a toy's finest fictional newsreader, Shainne Greoige. Join me at a tremendously exciting moment. It's Into Your Head, number 674. We've a lot to get on with today. Items that need to be attended to, issues that need to be addressed, topics. Topics. We've got lots and lots of topics. We're positively booming to the seams with topics. We've got topics coming out of this almost empty 2-litre bottle of Linden Village 6% Irish cider, left over from several nights ago. Don't know why it's in here in the studio. This is not a frigging bar. It's not for drinking alcohol. This is a place for drinking caffeine. It's not a place for drinking alcohol. If I wanted to drink alcohol, for one thing, you can't drink alcohol. It's a gas or something, isn't it? You have to put it. You have to form the alcohol inside a beverage to drink the beverage, and you consume the alcohol as part of that. But you don't just drink alcohol. You don't just pour alcohol into a frigging glass and pour it down your gullet. If you do, you die. You get poisoned by alcoholic poison. It's just like if you were to drink pure fertiliser, you'd probably die as well. That's why if you're going to drink fertiliser, stir it into your coffee or something instead of sugar. Or you could just have sugar as well. It's cheaper. Sugar is cheaper than fertiliser. I don't suppose how much fertiliser would you put in a cup? Maybe only half a spoon or something. And fertiliser probably comes in bags of several kilos. A bag of sugar just comes in a freaking kilo bag. So I suppose you have to do the maths, but also do the medical research to find out whether it's going to kill you, and also do the nutritional research, and also find out what it tastes like. Not by tasting it though. Find some evidence. I suppose you'd have to look up on the internet and find someone who has consumed fertiliser and survived long enough to describe the taste. Maybe it doesn't have a taste. Maybe it's like natural gas. They put advertisements on the television here saying natural gas doesn't have a smell, but for your safety we've added a smell to it. I'd say the gas company. So if you smell the fake smell that they've added to natural gas, you should call their emergency hotline and say, I smell something or other. I smell artificial smellatives which you've presumably added to my gas to prevent me from getting killed in my sleep. Presumably smelling. Can you wake up from your sleep if you smell something? I don't know. I know you wake up if you hear an alarm or something, but if you smell something, how would that? I don't know. I've never woken up because of smelling something. Why would you do? There's more to life than getting distracted from your sleep by smelling things. People get a bit obsessed over this to say, I can smell something. Well, just stop smelling it. Breathe through your mouth, or point your nose in a different direction, or just ignore the smell. You don't have to think about this. You can think about you can breathe non-stop for your entire life, and most of the time you don't even think about breathing. So do the same with smelling. Don't think about what you're smelling. Just go on autopilot with your cellular activities, and just wake up if you smell something dangerous. Well, no, you don't have to be concentrating on your smells all the time. And no, there's more to life than that. Anyway, hello and welcome to the show. Two gases walk into a bar. One of the gases goes straight up to the bar counter and says, hello, can I have a pint of your finest Guinness, please? And the man behind the bar says, I smell something. Does anyone else smell something? And one of the patrons at the bar says, yes, I smell something too. Do you want to know? You probably want to know what it is, do you? Or maybe you just want confirmation that it's not just you that's smelling it, in which case you've got it. I smell something too, but we should probably compare notes to make sure that we're smelling the same thing. smelling, because for all you know, I could be just smelling whiskey, and you could be smelling a nuclear bomb or something. I don't know. So what are you smelling? Or maybe do you want me to tell you what I'm smelling first? I don't know. How do you want to work this? And the barman says, I think you've had enough to drink there, Bill, if you don't mind me saying so. And Bill says, I don't mind you saying so at all. I know when to stop though. The founder of AA was called Bill, and he knew when to stop as well. He learned how to stop after several years of nearly killing himself, but he knew how to stop too, and I'm named after him, so I know when to stop. I know I should have stopped a few minutes ago. I know when to stop, I just haven't stopped. I suppose that's probably what you mean. That I do stop. You want me to follow through and stop. I suppose that's reasonable. Mister, look at me, I'm all sensible even though I make money out of selling alcohol to people like me. Fair enough. And the man behind the bar says, does anyone else smell anything? And someone else goes, no. And the barman said, are you speaking for everyone? And the man says, no, I'm just saying I don't smell anything. Well, that's not the question I asked, the barman says. He says, I was asking, does anyone else smell anything? And the patron says, how are we supposed to respond to that? Do you want us all to go around and compare notes and then nominate a representative like a lead juror in a course to say, no, nobody else smells anything? I don't know. Maybe a better way of doing this would be to say, if anyone smells anything, please make yourself known now. Although, of course, you'd still have the issue of not being able to confirm whether everyone heard the question. But no, don't be asking us, does anyone smell anything? What the freaking hell? You want us to organise ourselves into... No. For a start, half of us are drunk. Try and bear that in mind. The barman says, fair enough. Well, I smell gas. Does anybody else smell gas? And one other patron says, gas doesn't have a smell. And the barman says, I know that, but the gas company adds a smell to it, an artificial smell. And that's the smell I'm talking about. Does anyone else smell the artificial smell? And patron says, I don't know, what would that smell like? And the barman said, it would smell like what we can smell now, if you can smell it, and if you're smelling it, you know. And the man behind the bar says, do you have some special television that puts out special commercials that has smells coming out of them, sample smells that you can sniff and scratch off your screen or something? And the barman says, Christ, I should know better than to ask a load of drunks to ask a simple question that affects their safety. And one of the patrons says, oh, none taken. And the barman says, I beg your pardon. He says, no offence taken. You just called us a load of drunks, but no offence taken. At least not by me. I can't speak for everyone else. And the barman says, you're the same fellow who made that smart arse comment about the jurors. And the patron says, indeed I am. I say more than one thing during an evening, you know. You're allowed to say more than one thing in this life. And the barman says, well, you won't be saying much more if we don't sort out this gas smell that I think I may smell. I go to contact the emergency services. And he contacts the emergency services. He dials 999, unless he's in America, in which case he dials 991 or 911, wherever it is. I don't know. I'm not familiar. I haven't memorised the main items of the government section of the phone book from America. No, I don't even have a phone book anymore. I still get delivered a phone book every year. I go straight in the bin. It's great if your recycle bin is full of light papers and you need something to weigh it down at the end of the week on the windy day. Anyway, the barman rings up 999 and he says, hello, I think I smell gas in my bar. And the 911 fella says, sir, gas doesn't have a smell. And the barman says, Christ, are you drinking too? And the 999 fella says, absolutely not, sir. Now, do you have any serious questions? Or is this an emergency? And the man behind the bar says, indeed it is an emergency. I've got a bar full of members of the public here, and I smell gas. Now, I know you're a bit thick, so you don't know that they put a special smell in gas to give it an odour, because it's odourless, but that's what I smell. I think, at least I'm not sure. And the man on the 999 says, is there anyone else there you could check with to sniff it in your bar and ask them if they agree with you? And the barman says, I tried that, but they're all fucking drunk. They're of no use to me or you. At least I'm sober. You can be damn sure the hell is Christ of that. And the 999 fella says, oh, I've no way of confirming that, sir. I suppose you should probably send round some gas people. You probably should have contacted the gas company directly because they have an emergency line. And the man behind the bar says, I'll bear that in mind for next time, although I'm hoping there won't be a next time if I get this sorted out properly. And the 999 fella says, oh, that's a reasonable aspiration, I suppose. Anyway, the emergency services are underway and a great night is had by all.
You're listening to Into Your Head, hosted by Neal, Ireland's version of the Octomom. Except he's a dude and has cats.
Follow Neal at twitter.com/intoyourheadpod and pretend to like him at facebook.com/intoyourheadpodcast.
Now, I know what you're thinking there. You're thinking, Christ, that's horse shit. That's a load of horse shit. What he's just been saying. Gases wouldn't walk into a bar. They've just sort of flow in without even thinking about it. They just naturally fill up the space that's there, a bit like water. Does gas behave the same as water? I don't know. You can drown in water, that's all I know. You can't drown in the gas. Does gas fill up? Does it spread to fill up the area available to it like water does? I don't know. Does it really matter? I don't know. But anyway, you're thinking gas wouldn't walk into a bar. Well, it's a metaphor. It's a metaphor for, if you can't figure out what it's a metaphor for, then I'm not doing my job properly here. So if you can't figure out what it's a metaphor for, or you think you know what it's a metaphor for, but you want to check with, let me feel free to contact me and let me know. I'm free. I'm available to answer any queries you may have on this. studio@intoyourhead.com. Oh, that reminds me. If you go listen to the Into Your Head Extras and Reruns channel, separate podcast, you'll find listener Mitch has his podcasting debut just gone up. 17 minutes of Mitch discussing every topic under the sun in a fine Australian accent, or wherever, I don't know, New Zealand accent, wherever it is. I don't know. I've been watching MasterChef New Zealand recently, as well as MasterChef Australia, so I'm starting to learn the differences between the two accents. New Zealanders mispronounce everything. They say, oh, I'm going to mispronounce everything. They say, oh, look at me, him speaking New Zealandish. At least they could have the decency to call it a different. Don't call it English if you're not going to say it in English. Call it something else. They do. The Chinese do a great at doing that. They have a couple of different types of Chinese. They are the exact same words written down, but they just say them speak differently. They have the decency to just call it a different language. You Americans should do that as well. If you're going to pronounce words wrong, call it American. Don't call it English. Just say it's American. It's loosely based on the English language from back when you people were occupying us. We didn't have unlike the Irish, we didn't have our own language to fall back on and destroy later. But no. Where are we going now? I don't know what I'm talking about here. Do you know what I'm talking about? You probably do. You've been listening to this for several years now. You understand every word that comes out of my gob, even though I may say it in a difficult to listen to accent. You understand me because you got used to it. You've been listening to this since 2006 or 2007 or 2008 or 2009 or 2010 or 2011 or 2012 or yesterday. One of those options. So you've had a while to get used to me now, unless you're in the option where you started listening to me yesterday, in which case you've some explaining to do because there wasn't a podcast yesterday. The previous previous podcast came out. When was it? Friday or Saturday? I don't know. One of those, I suppose you could be listening to it in arrears, which you shouldn't be. You should be keeping up to date with this. You might miss something about. I might announce in the middle of a podcast today, for example, that North Korea has launched a stink bomb on somewhere or other, and you won't have heard that till now. You'll be behind on the news, and you won't be able to make preparations. You won't be able to get home to your family and dig a hole under your house. There's already a hole dug under your house, incidentally. You don't need to dig a hole. There's a hole under your house. It's called the basement. You just have to lift your house up out of it, and then you have a hole. So rather than building a nuclear bunker, just have a reliable crane available to lift your. Should the worst happen, you should have a crane there so you can lift your house out of the hole that has been built in, and then jump up into the hole and cover yourself up with some boards or something. Don't worry about the house. If there's a nuclear catastrophe, your house isn't going to be of much use to you. Ironically, the hole that you built your house in, that you paid practically nothing for, is going to be a lot more valuable to you then than the house that you spent hundreds and thousands of euros building. Absolutely, that's the economy for you. The property economy is a load of bollocks. Anyway.
There's still more to come on Into Your Head.
Support the podcastual arts at no cost to you, just by sending Neal money. Visit intoyourhead.com and click on the tip jar to make a once-off donation. intoyourhead.com.
If you would like to comment on any of the issues raised in this program, email studio@intoyourhead.com. Remember, we value the opinions of you, the humble and ignorant listener.
Matchstick cats. Matchstick cats. Matchstick cats. Matchstick cats and stuff.
Are you a cat? Or do you know somebody who might be? Then tell yourself about Matchstick Cats, Neal's webcomic. Brand new episodes at intoyourhead.com.
Cats and stuff. Intoyourhead.com.
Now, I don't know if you realise it, or maybe it's not even true where you are at the moment, but it's April of 2013, the year of the flying car. If I remember rightly from my childhood reading, they said you're going to have flying cars by 2013 or thereabouts. You're going to have cars flying all over the place, and not just in a Dukes of Hazzard way where they jump over bumps in the road and go flying. That's not the sort of flying, or maybe it was it? I don't know. And you're going to have food pills as well. You're going to have pills crammed with food to take the medicine out. They basically get placebo pills, but fill them up with food. Can you have placebo food pills, I wonder? Can they say, this may or may not contain food? Because that would be useful for dieting, I suppose. If you got some placebo food pills and they said, each of these is a solid meal, and they tell you, each of these will fill you up for at least 4 hours. Just cram one down your gullet. Don't chew. Just swallow it with water. Swallow some water in it with it. The water will deal with your thirst, and it'll stop you choking on the pill, which is filled up with turkey and spinach and all sorts of crap. It's got all your favourites in it. It's being specially modified to suit your special needs, they'll tell you. And you say, why has it got placebos written on the jar? And they'll say, that's just to make you think it's a placebo. It's a double placebo effect. We tell you that it's a placebo, so you think it's a placebo, but it's not. And you'll say, well, now you've just told me it's not a placebo. And the doctor will say, of course I have. You're not supposed to tell people that it's a placebo. You tell them it's not a placebo. If you tell them it's a placebo, then that defeats the purpose. Don't be fucking ridiculous. And you'll say, fair enough. And what about the flying cars? And the doctor will say, well, that's not really my area. I'm a general medical practitioner. I don't really have anything to do with flying cars, although I do have a particularly flashy car, but that's none of your business. What I spend my income on is none of your business. Just as if you're doing a podcast and the listeners contribute to it and you spend some of the money on a robotic cat, that's none of their business. And you say, how would the listeners contribute? And the doctor will say, well, presumably they'll go to intoyourhead.com intoyourhead.com and click on the tip jar and the Amazon shopping links and use the various other shopping links where they can buy all sorts of crap. They can get prescription glasses online, they can get pet supplies, all sorts of other stuff, even DreamHost hosting deals. They can't buy flying cars though. Ho, there's a little joke for you for your funny podcast. And then you'll punch him in the face, and then you'll say, that podcast has nothing to do with me, I'm just a character in it. And the doctor will say, well, so am I. I think that means it's a lot to do with you and me if we're characters on. If we only exist within the podcast, that's like saying the universe has nothing to do with me. When you live in it, you exist in the universe. And then you'll have to agree with him and apologise for punching him. And the doctor will say, does that mean you're apologising for punching me because you were wrong about flying cars or whatever you're talking about? You should apologise for punching me because it's wrong to punch people, not just because you misunderstood me. And you'll say, I suppose you have a point there, but this isn't a debate, it's supposed to be a medical examination, so examine me now. And the doctor says, no, you examine me, I'm the one with a fresh punch wound here. And you'll say, but I'm not a doctor. And the doctor will say, well, I'm not a flying cars expert, so I think we're equal.
I'm Shainne Greoige with a look at today's newspapers to save you from having to read them online. We begin this morning with The Irish Catholic, which announces that it plans to rebrand as The Irish Catholics if the latest circulation figures, due out tomorrow, confirm its acquisition of a second reader. The Sunday Business Post reports that the European Union is planning to force governments to implement a blanket ban, meaning in future stores will only be able to sell duvets and undersheets. It's thought that the measure will reduce carbon emissions from the Magdalen laundries or something. Metro AM has the touching story of Harry the cat, who came home after being missing for over 25 years, only to find that his owners had been brutally murdered in their beds in the late 1990s. Police archaeologists are carrying out a post-mortem on the bodies, which are believed to have been found in an advanced state of fossilisation. The ISPCA is quoted as saying that this is a timely reminder to check on your neighbour's pets during the current extended cold snap. However, the newspaper goes on to assure readers that Harry has been placed in the care of a foster family and is doing fine. Yay, cats! The Irish Daily Mirror reports that the 2 tourists killed in a freak defrosting accident at the weekend have been named and will be posthumously christened later in the month, before being deported. While the Irish Times celebrates the 50th anniversary of its famous cryptic crossword with a front-page edition of the ever-popular puzzle, accompanied by clues which, when solved, reveal the main news headlines of the day. Later editions of the Sky Sports News Channel, print edition, carry this morning's announcement that gamesmanship is to become a fully fledged Olympic event, starting with the 2016 Summer Games. Meanwhile, the Irish Daily Funday Sun alleges that Pope Francis has resorted to using blessed wine to remove his predecessor's drool from the papal apartment. And the Irish Motorist devotes its entire front page to the caption, "Spoiler alert," with an explanation on page 2 that the publication has brokered a major sponsorship deal with DC Exhausts. Finally, the Farmers Journal leads with the news that farmers are being advised to pre-season and taste their cows before sending them for slaughter, to increase their chances of breeding a winning MasterChef dish. I'm Shainne Greoige, and that's what the newspapers look like today, if you have them summarised and read to you by a seasoned newscaster with a first-class honours degree in broadcast journalism from the University of Life. Don't forget to join me tonight for Shainne Greoige on television, when I'll be asking a panel of commentators whether media nasal gazing is getting out of hand. That's Shainne Greoige on television, tonight at 10 p.m. on Radio 1. But for now, a very good evening to you. Yay, cats!
Monkey nuts, that's what they call them. They call them big steaming, shit-eating, piss-piling, cider drinking, printer running out of inking, what else? I don't know. Running out of inspiration in this room, quite frankly. There's not enough to look at in this. Maybe I should put in some stuff to look at, but would that amount to a series of distractions then? I don't know. Which is better when you're being creative, to have stuff to look at or to have no distractions whatsoever? I suppose having something to look at doesn't automatically make it a distraction, just as having something grown in your garden that you didn't put there doesn't automatically make it a weed, although I consider everything in my garden to be a weed, especially the grass. Fucking grass is starting to grow again now. It's a weed. It needs to be stomped down and killed. It needs to have petrol poured on it and set. I'd pour petrol on it and set it on fire if I wasn't in the residential area. My house, the area around my house is a residential area because it surrounds my house. Something. Oh, now that's interesting. That's interesting now. I can't read you out the text that I just got from my wife in the next room. Suffice to say, being illegal. That's illegal. What my wife just stated. If she's listening to this now, what you just texted me is illegal. It's against the laws of this land and cannot be broadcast on the internet. Where was I? Oh yes, I was talking about distractions. Bored with that now. Anyway, 2 distractions walk into a bar. One of the distractions goes straight up to the bar counter and then crosses over to the cigarette machine to have a look at it, because it seems to have new buttons on. There seems to be new buttons on the cigarette machine, and the barman comes over behind him. He says, "Hello, sir, can I help you? That machine is for customers only. It's illegal for me to allow you to use that if you're not a customer, I'm afraid." I know what you're going to say there. You're going to say, if I buy something from the cigarette machine, I'm a customer. But you're not. It doesn't work like that, I'm afraid. I realise it's a bit silly and probably untrue, but this is if we're in a fictional bar here, so we can make up the rules as we go along. Anyway, what can I get you? And the man in front of the man behind the bar, well, he's not behind it. Well, he is behind the bar. He's shouting over. Why would he leave his bar just to go over to a fella at the cigarette machine that's obviously not too far away? No, he'd shout, or he'd discreetly shout over. Anyway, the distraction says, "What the frigging hell is going on here?" And the man behind the bar says, "Where?" And the distraction says, "Up there," and points up at the ceiling. And the barman looks up at the ceiling and he says, "That's not a ceiling, that's a glass roof. That's a glass roof." Although I suppose it's a ceiling as well if there's no further ceiling underneath it. But no, it's a glass roof. What you're looking at there is white clouds in the sky. Maybe it looks like a ceiling to you." And the distraction says, "I'll have a pint of your finest Guinness, please." And the man behind the bar says, "Certainly, sir. Would you like some change for the cigarette machine?" And the distraction says, "Where's your toilet?" And the barman says, it's just off my bedroom. It's an ensuite." And the distraction says, "No, I meant in here." And the barman says, "Oh, it's just over there. It's the room with toilets written on it." And the distraction says, "What time is it?" And the barman says, "It's time you got a watch." Oh, that's a little joke for you." And the distraction says, "What do you think of the political economic situation in Outer Mongolia?" And the man behind the bar says, "That'll be €8.75, please." And the distraction says, "Oh, look over there," and then takes his pint and leaves. And a great night is had by all. That was a load of crap. Crap. In an ideal world, we'd edit it out, but I haven't even edited it in yet, so we can't do that, so we're going to have to put it in anyway. You can't edit something out until you've edited it in. It's not going to be there otherwise. How can you get rid of something that's not there. That's like saying I'm going to get rid of all cat murders that happen in the North Pole. If they're not happening, you can't get rid of them. That's a problem. You can't deal with problems that don't exist. That's why the world has so many problems. All these problems that don't exist are not getting dealt with because no one knows. It's like antimatter. People don't know how to look at antimatter or black matter and black holes and stuff because they don't exist. And they think, how can we find out whether they exist? They can't because they don't. So they just go unused and ignored. Anyway, good morning.